Today is the 30th day of May 2025, a day set aside around the world as the Biafra Day, a day chosen to honor the heroes, the children that lost their lives during the Biafra War, and a day to remember by the Igbos and their allies that fought brothers in arms with them during the 3-year civil war. Actually, it was Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that triggered this remembrance, because before his decision, the Southeast never, remembered or recognized the day until Nnamdi Kanu himself took it upon himself that it was worthy of remembrance and tagged it Biafra Day. Most recently, the Ghts has made, of course, a failed attempt to change the name to Igbo Day. Of course, that was rejected, and we also made it very clear on this channel that the Biafra Day is more appropriate because there were people, there were tribes who fought alongside the Igbos, and calling it an Igbo Day will just is reducing the influence that the larger ethnic group had during the war. I want to point out also that on this very day, 58 years ago, by exactly 3 a.m., Odumegwu Ojukwu, acting on the directive of the Eastern Consultative Assembly, rising from their meeting, mandated Ojukwu to declare the state of Biafra independent from Nigeria. So Ojukwu rose up by 3 a.m. on that very day of May 30th, 1967, and declared the independence of Biafra. So here is a brief statistics. Actually, it has been 58 years, 21,184 days, 508,430 hours, 30,505,830 minutes, and 1,830,349,800 seconds since Biafra was declared. Moving on, this was a video that caught my attention today. Watch it.
That about 30th of May, that about Remembrance Day of our foreign heroes. That can appear as a Biafran Day. When you go to Rome, you behave like a Rome. All this side of pattern of this Eastern Igbo, say na fa bonde Biafran, si welon ka malofa. E water go so if ya nyefa flower fa gị na fe kwesịrị na akọ na ike ihe ndị a na-eme tata, so ị na-anya ifu na enwero movement. Ebe nọ tata bụ head bridge. Head bridge ebe na eke esidi ifu na enwero movement. So all I can say no, oya ihe na akpọ ya bụ Ojukwu Ikemba Nnewi. Oh ya bụ Ojukwu ebe a ala ikwunyere ya. Maka ọ bụ na ikwunyere ole egbo obu ona kata ona abụ ona kata aka adịrị ya mma ọkwa ya rararararara. So ebe anyị nọ tata bụ na head bridge nke m na-eju oyi.
Of course, by now many Igbos are aware of the Biafran War itself, but many still do not know the events and the tensions that led to the point where the war was declared. I'm going to read out a brief timeline and history for you to listen and see the exact events that led to the point of the declaration of Biafra in 1967, the 30th of May. Listen. I'll read. In the early 1960s, there was rising ethnic and political tensions. Nigeria's regional politics became increasingly polarized and ethnically charged. Accusations of corruption, nepotism, and rigged election became common. Each region is more loyal to its ethnic leadership than to the federal government. From 1965 to 66, the crisis deepens. There was a Western regional crisis on October 1965. Regional elections in the West, which is the Yoruba region, led to widespread violence known as the Wild Wild West crisis due to allegations of electoral fraud. On January 15th, 1966, the first military coup happened. Led by officers of the Nigerian army, the coup overthrows the federal government. General Aguiyi became the head of state. But many in the north view the coup as an Igbo conspiracy, as many victims as alleged were northern leaders. Then on 1966, July 29th, there was a counter coup. Northern military officers retaliated in a counter coup. Aguiyi was killed. Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon from the north became the head of state. Then thousands of Igbo civilians are massacred in the north. The estimates range from 10,000 to 30,000 deaths. So waves of Igbo people fled the north back to the eastern region. The tension escalated in late 1966 to early 1967. August 1966, there was a breakdown of peace efforts as tension escalated. The peace conferences between regional leaders failed to reach a lasting agreement. Eastern Region Governor Ojukwu demands protection for Igbos and restructuring of Nigeria into a looser federation. On January 4th to January 5th, 1967, Aburi Accord in Ghana. Military leaders met in Aburi, Ghana, and agreed to a decentralized federal structure. Ojukwu and Gowon actually had that meeting. Ojukwu believes this agreement gives the Eastern region full autonomy. The Nigerian federal government later failed to implement the accord, further increasing the tensions. Then the final steps before the war. On May 26, 1967, Eastern Region consults. The Eastern Constitutive Assembly mandated Ojukwu to declare independence if the federal government does not return to Aburi terms. On May 27, 1967, Nigeria creates 12 states, which is a day after the Eastern region met. Gowon divides Nigeria into 12 states, breaking up the Eastern region. This move, Ojukwu saw it as a direct threat. So Ojukwu rejects the move, calling it illegal and provocative. And on May 30th, 1967, the Declaration of Biafra. Ojukwu declares the Republic of Biafra as an independent state from Nigeria. This act is seen as secession, and the federal government responds with military action, leading to the outbreak of the Nigerian Civil War on July 6, 1967. That was the events that led up to the war. For those of you to refresh your memory, we have a lot of younger generation now, and also some people who are of age, but still needed to be kept up to date on this history, because it's very important that you know the history and these events in your fingertips. So it was very clear. Also, I want to give you the timeline of the war itself and what transpired during the war and key military events and political events that shaped this war. Please listen. So on July 6, 1967, the war officially began as Nigerian federal troops attacked Biafra from the north. So on August, Biafran forces advanced westward. The offense stalls as Nigerian forces begin a counter-attack. On October 1967, Asaba massacre. After Biafran troops retreat from the Midwest, hundreds of civilians, mostly men and boys, are killed by Nigerian forces from in Asaba. 1968, Biafra loses towns, Enugu, Port Harcourt, cutting off major supply routes. and Nigeria imposes a land and sea blockade. This is 1968. So in middle to late of 68 also, there was widespread famine. Widespread famine began in Biafra due to the blockade. Harrowing images of starving children bring international attention to the crisis. Humanitarian groups like the Red Cross and Caritas and some aid groups airlifted food directly to Biafra land. On January 1969, the Uli airstrip, as is the Uli airport, becomes Biafra's main link to the outside world for food and arms. Despite losing ground, Biafra forces continue guerrilla warfare and resist federal troops. On June to December 1969, the war becomes more desperate. Nigeria launches Operation Tailwind to end the conflict. Biafra becomes increasingly isolated and militarily weakened. Diplomatic efforts intensified, especially from the OAU, and January 7 to 12th, 1970, Nigerian forces overrun the remaining Biafran strongholds. Ojukwu hands over to Philip Effiong, and on January 15, 1970, the war ends. Philip Effiong announced the end of hostilities and the war officially ends. So you heard it very clear. Gowon actually came out to say that he's proud of his role in the war because everything he did it to keep Nigeria one. I want to correct Gowon. Gowon, this war was not fought to keep Nigeria one. I say it because you do not know why this war was fought. You are just a pawn used by the British to fight this war. This war was fought by the British in order to preserve their cash cow called Nigeria. Simple. That was why this war was fought, because you don't even have a clue. You were just used. You were a pawn in this whole war. So get it clear. And it looks as if the Igbos are a threat to this British Empire. I don't even know how the Igbo man became a threat. Last time I checked, the British are stronger, more advanced, more powerful than most nations in the world. So what's their problem with a tribe called Igbo? What is their obsession with Igbo? That they do anything possible to make sure that these people do not rear their heads. Is it not better? You even ban Igbos from entering your country, Britain. Is it not better check people's passport? Once you see an Igbo man's name, you just stop him from entering your country. It's better that way than live in pretense and denial. Because let me tell you, the systematic injustice against Igbo in the country Nigeria is glaring. Everybody knows that the Igbo man is not part of this Nigeria and are treated like second-class citizens. And they are saying every day, let them go. You say no. Okay, let them stay. You say no. So they are out of place. Look at what happened during the recent jam that happened. Look at the massive failure, missing results, and the glitch that affected only the southeast. Look at what's happening in the Onitsha drug market, for example, that a whole NAFDAC will just target a market like that, without respecting the people, respecting the tribe, and try to manipulate their way. If it was Yoruba market or Hausa market, it would never have happened. All of us, me and you know that. And it's very glaring. The social injustice, political injustice. What about the taxes they pay when they import their goods? What about the challenges they face in the ports? Social injustice. Igbo goods are treated like second-class goods. You can't do such things where Hausa-dominated markets are. It is obvious. Even the Hausas know, the Northerners know that this country belongs to them. It's so obvious. And they even say it. I saw one post on social media, and the person is from the North. He wrote, Hausa Fulani first-class citizen. Yoruba's second-class citizen. Cows, third-class citizen. And Igbos, fourth-class citizen. Look at the kind of statements that people make. And we cannot pick them up for trial. We cannot arrest such people that try to incite the public. It's obvious that even Nigerians know where the Igbo man belongs in this contraption. Also, let's enter into politics. The Igbo has served the PDP since its inception. They have given the PDP the highest amount of votes ever by any region, block votes. But when it comes to selecting who will bear the ticket of the PDP, the Igbo has been overlooked. Also in the APC, the last APC primaries that brought out Tinubu, look at the way the Igbos that contested were treated. People like Rochas and Obolayonu and co. They even had to lament on their treatment on the public, in the open there. I mean, I was just smiling that day because I was like, look at these people. What were you thinking? That you can go and slave for these people and they will accept you as their own? If you do not love your people, your outsiders will never love you. It is clear. All of you in politics there, politicians, I'm telling all of you, the temporary love you are receiving from other regions is just for a brief time. They already have your names. They know you and where you belong. Once you are from the southeast, they tag you. So when they want something, they use you. Don't deceive yourselves. Love your people. Love your tribe. Love your people. The way Yorubas love themselves, the way Hausas love themselves, Igbo people, love yourselves. Doesn't matter where you are. Fight for your own. Nnamdi Kanu is in the dungeon. Fight for him. Use your office as a governor, senator, House of Assembly. Fight for him. You will not. Why are you afraid? Are you afraid that if you call his name, they will hate you? They will dislike you, or they will not help you because of your selfishness. You are ashamed of your own brother because of what? Let me tell you, the average Hausa man will never be ashamed of his brother, no matter the kind of crime he committed in this country. He will tell you that he's his brother, you should leave him. When it comes to your own, you say he should face trial. He should face trial illegally. Because of what? Because of what? What of the election threat in Lagos last election? The Igbos were threatened. It has been happening by MC Oluomo threatening the Igbos. The Oba of Lagos threatening the Igbos. A whole race. And nobody said anything. Everybody just closed their eye. Because it's an Igbo, and Igbo life is worth nothing in this country. An Igbo man does not have rights in this country. In fact, Nigerian law is as if it is made for the Igbos. Igbos must obey, the Igbos are the only ones that must obey Nigerian law. Other tribes can just skip the law. So we're talking about social, economic, political injustice that the Igbos have been facing in this country that needs to stop. Or, if it cannot stop, it is better you tell them, pack your load and go. Simple. These are the same issues that reared their head in 1967. Before 1967, they are still present with us today. They are still here now. They are still here. Tribalism, ethnicity, social injustice, hatred. They are still with us today. And yet, we are still in that same country today. How will Nigeria change? Why wouldn't people cry for an El Dorado? Why wouldn't people cry for, freedom when the same things that led to the war 58 years ago are still present today? Happy Biafra Day, everyone. I wish you the best in your businesses. I wish you the best in your life, in your career. And may you keep succeeding in everything you lay your hands on. And definitely, justice must surely prevail in the Igbo land. Justice must surely prevail in Nnamdi Kanu's case. And justice must surely prevail in our lives. I have been your host, Chinedu. Please take your time to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Till I see you next video, peace.